All right, guys, so this is going to become I'm going to call a Zentangle landscape. And a Zentangle is when you take the outline or a shape of something and you fill it in with a whole bunch of patterns. So far what we have is a drawn landscape. Now, if you trace that out in Sharpie or a pen or a marker, that's awesome. Go for it. If not, don't worry about it. You're going to just keep working with it the way it is today. So what you're going to do today is you are going to be putting in patterns into some of these different sections to help provide emphasis. Emphasis, if you guys don't know what that word means, it is kind of like it's going to be something that draws your eye to a specific thing or a part of it where it stands out from all the things around it. So the best ways you can do that are by either adding details to something or by color. And we are going to talk about color, but that's not going to be our first thing we're doing. So this is your picture, and you're going to go through and start going through with this. You are going to be asked, oh, sorry guys, I am struggling to get the words out today. Woo! But you are going through and you are going to be adding a minimum of 6 patterns within your landscape. You can do way more than that if you want to, but you are going to pick 6 different sections. So kind of how each one of these areas makes a specific kind of shape or boxed area, like this sun, that is a closed in shape. It's not just open. This mountain here, that is a closed in shape. So you are going to pick at least 6 of these areas to fill with pattern. Now, if you only have 8 areas, most of your areas are going to be full. It might be something you want to add a few more to yours before you get started today, now that you know where we're heading with this. So what you're going to go through and do is add in patterns. Now remember, a pattern is something you repeat. And if you look back on some of the slides after this video, if you click past this video in the Nearpod, there are some pattern example pages that you can look at while filling this, and then you can always just come back to this later. So I know mine's not traced out, so you guys can see it easiest on camera, I am going to do my patterns in Sharpie for you guys today. So I'm going to go through, and now these are 6 different patterns. You cannot pick 6 spaces and just do the same vertical stripes over and over again. So I'm going to think about where I want people to look when they look at my images. I want people to take notice of the mountains. I'm going to have them take notice. I kind of really like this little cloud up here, so I'm going to do that, and then in some of the hill areas. So I'm going to kind of spread mine out. You might want all of your pattern in one solid area. That's kind of up to you of how you want to go through and do this. So the first place I'm going to go through and do a pattern is I'm going to put a pattern in this section of mountains right here. Anything, just remember it has to repeat, whether it's a shape or a line. Don't think about color right now when it comes to creating these patterns, because that is not what we're working on. So I'm going to go through, and my pattern is going to kind of be these little arched lines, and I'm just going to repeat those all over the mountain. And actually, so you guys can see this easier as well, I'm going to outline mine. If you didn't do that last week but decide you want to, that's all right. Go ahead and you can do that now. You can use a black pen, a marker, colored pencil, really whatever works. I would just keep it in the color black so that when we add color later, it doesn't kind of mess us up with that. So kind of thinking of this area, I'm just actually going to go through, trace this all out so that we have the easiest view of the places I'm putting my patterns in. So I'm going to trace this real quick. I'll fast forward and then I'll get back to patterns. All right, now I would go through once you finish tracing everything, and I would erase any pencil lines you have left. Remember, you do not have to trace. This is an option, but it may help you kind of show everything off and it really stand out more. All right, so now that I'm moving into my patterns, need to trace my little house still. Now that I'm moving into my patterns, I want to really think about where I'm adding these patterns. Like, I probably don't want to add a pattern right here where the house is, because that house is going to kind of disappear, and that's not really what I want. I want that house to stand out. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to add my pattern here, I'm going to fast forward, and then I will show you guys where I'm going to keep placing them. All right, so I gotta have my first section here. I'll pattern in. I left some white space left, and I think that's fine. I could have kept going and really filling this the whole way in, but my pattern is still there because remember, a pattern is repeating over and over and over again. And I repeated these kind of arch rainbow shapes over and over and over again, really filling up my space. So I have my first pattern here. And you notice I didn't do it in all of my mountains. I just did it in one section of my mountains because I really liked that area. I liked how that mountain looked. I wanted to draw attention to it and I wanted to provide emphasis there. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do a different pattern in another section. Okay, so I filled in kind of this smaller area here. So now I have 2 patterns filling my spaces. Now I need still 4 more sections. It can be more than 4, but remember it should be no less than 6 total to fill up your space. All right, so I did kind of this wavy line down here. Remember I said I don't want to put one here because I think that's going to, but I kind of want to do this one here so that this one in the middle kind of stands out as this white mountain in between 2 patterned ones. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I need at least 2 more patterns in my section to fill up. So I'm going to do another one down here, kind of in another hill, and then we'll see where my last one is going to go. All right, so in this one you see I kind of repeat 2 different types of patterns where I'm repeating these dots as one element and then these little kind of points or arrows as my other element to create my pattern there. So now I have 5. I need at least 1 more, but the way I'm looking at it, I'm probably still going to add at least 2, maybe even 3 more to really balance my picture. Because right now I have so much pattern right here. I want to kind of place them throughout the rest of the picture so it doesn't look like it's unfinished. It looks like it's really done on purpose, that there are patterns in just special places and not like I started and I put a bunch of patterns here and then I forgot about the rest of my picture. All right, so I have my 6. I could stop here. I'm going to add a little more. Now, I will say after you've put in 6, if you really like one of the patterns you did and you have at least 6 different patterns, you could repeat. So if I really liked like this pattern here, as long as I have 5 others on here, I could then go ahead and in some extra spaces do that same pattern if I wanted to. As you guys see, I'm here repeating that first pattern I did on the mountain because I really liked it and I wanted to add it somewhere else in my picture. I'm just going to do it a little differently this time where it's a little more spread out throughout the mountain, I think. All right, so I'm going to change my mind and ended up filling it in more instead of less on that one because I just really liked the way it was looking. And this is kind of where I'm going to stop. So I ended up with 7. You could definitely do more than this if you want to, but please make sure you have at least 6 patterns throughout your landscape. So now that I have my patterns here, what you're going to do next, because we're not going to 100% finish this today, but I want us to start planning out where our colors are going to go. So we're going to be using warm colors and cool colors in this. So if you click through, you're going to see where we're going to talk about warm and cool colors. I am going to give you a little poll question to answer about warm and cool colors. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of plan it out, and I will show that in another video clip later on.